Tonight, we have a very special guest, a renowned master craftsman, although he'd prefer to be called a woodworker. You're not going to want to miss this. Stick around. Our guest tonight is a 50-year woodworker, professional in every way, and he also happens to be a Canterburyan. He is a founding member of the New Hampshire Furniture Masters, and that's where we've done a lot of socializing and work together, and also former chairman of the Furniture Masters. He's got several pieces in the Currier Museum of Art, quite the distinguished museum in Manchester, New Hampshire. Don't miss that if you get up here. And he's two-term, I guess, Artist Laureate of New Hampshire. And I could go on and on, but it gets a little wearisome. But if it's any consolation, he's just average at golf. David Lamb!
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
buddy. It's great to be here.
We have a class going on. That's why we were so privileged to have David here. He's teaching class, but we also have a live studio audience! But anyway, Dave's here. We're really fortunate to have him teaching a class. This is the first 5-day class you've done. You've done some gigs over here and gigs, presentations and whatever. Yeah. But look at this. They just whipped this up in the last 4 days. There's still a day to go. What do you call this, Dave?
I call this a settee.
The exquisite settee.
The exquisite octagonal leg tapered settee.
That is
with
the
carving.
course. Yeah. But we've got, look at this little, what you would call it, like a Gothic style carving?
Yeah, like Gothic arches, and it's kind of a neat thing where the octagonal facets transition into these leaf-like things that just kind of disappear into the square of the leg. So it's been sort of a theme I've been playing with for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And this is the first one of this type.
Yeah, we actually got together at your shop and hashed out potential projects, and then you just whipped up this idea and had a nice little sketch. Oh, check this out. We do have the sketch. It started with this sketch. Can you see that? And then we had a full-size drawing. And each of the students has theirs in this condition already. Not really. They're
very close.
They're savoring their time here and taking their time. But it's been a great experience to be working on this week. And maybe, if it goes well, we'll do it again. We are doing one more class, but sorry, it's sold out.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah. But what I wanted to ask you a couple questions. Yeah. The first thing was, for most people, I mean, at some point they just gravitate and realize there's something about working with wood and making just an ordinary tree into a work of art, or at least attempting it. And there's something that just stirs in them at some point in their lives, and they want to do this kind of thing. When was the first time you felt like that spark or that thing kind of ignited? What drew you to woodworking? Do you remember when that was?
Well, probably like so many people, in middle school I had shop class.
Yeah.
And it was okay. I mean, it was shop class. Did some turning on the lathe, some of this and some of that. But it never struck me as anything in particular. But when my family moved to Canterbury, and we moved to the Shaker Village where my mom got remarried, and married the director of the village there. We were right in this sort of holy ground kind of place.
She was not a Shaker, you should.
Yeah, we were not Shakers. No, Shakers didn't get married.
Right, I was going to say, you moved to Shaker Village.
Yeah, to a celibate community, right? Okay. So there were still 6 of the old Shakers remaining, and they were well in their 80s. So anyway, we lived in that environment. Down the road, the next house down the road was a man that I ended up apprenticing with. And it was that kind of sense of antiquity, tradition through the village and what the Shakers did all their lives, and the traditions that my teacher, my master, Mr. De La Cruz, brought here from Madrid, Spain. So it was like, whoa, a lot all at once, but you started to see design and line and craftsmanship and beautiful materials and just the smell of walking in the shop. So it was all those things, and living in this kind of environment that we do in downtown Canterbury, on the east side, is special. So all those things combined.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you would you say Alejandro de la Cruz was the primary influence, or have there been other people along your path that shaped where you are today?
Sure. I'd say Alejandro, because he was the first one, was the most significant. After my apprenticeship with him, which was 3 years, I went to Boston University and studied with Jerry Osgood and Alphonse Mattia. And they were highly influential on me. I still recall lessons learned from De La Cruz and Jerry and Alphonse to this day. I don't think you ever forget those things.
They were pretty different, though.
But they were so different because De La Cruz was such a traditionalist. From, Baroque. He would talk about things in the Baroque style, the Queen, very period things. And design school was very different because it was contemporary and it was much more exploring and expressing your personal design sense and bringing it out as opposed to doing what they did traditionally.
Right. So
there was a frustrating period of time when I was going through that design school. It's like, I feel like I'm getting pulled and stretched, and boy, one guy told me this and these people are telling me that, and they're all highly regarded. What do I do? Well, decades later, you start to see, well, you're pulling this out of this, like certain Shaker sensibilities of direct line design and fine craftsmanship and some detail with my first apprenticeship, and then some interesting approaches with my second schooling. So it all works together.
It took a while, right? I mean, you were doing it a while until it melded together in a way that you found kind of your own style, would you say?
Yeah, I would say it definitely. And for me, it took a while. Even after going to the college thing, well, because I was trying to earn a living.
Yeah.
And so I was taking commissions when they'd come in, and a lot of them, because of my past history, was doing reproduction work, Queen Anne and Chippendale and that kind of thing, which I love. I mean, I still love it.
Yeah, me too.
But then the more you're around and you more see what your associates like you and Terry and Garrett are doing, then it kind of makes you think, well, geez, I got to come up with something too, and these things develop. And I think it's a time thing as much as anything.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I love about your work is something we've been talking a lot about lately is historically this guy named John Ruskin, who was a critic, an architect and a critic during the Victorian period. He's influential of the craftsman style. But one of his big things was to say that real art, true art, the highest form, has to be drawn from nature. And I have noticed that in your work, that has been a theme. I mean, a lot of that was in 18th century work, but it's been amazing how you've pulled that through in your own voice, your own style. And it's very recognizable now in a lot of different ways. So we have a treat. We have some photos, and Dave's going to share some of the stories behind these photos and some of this influence along those lines, the influence of the masters and the training that he got, as well as just time and commission after commission and having it shape who he is as a craftsman. So let's go to the first one there. The camera lady's not mic'd up tonight, so I'm sorry that's disappointing for everyone. But here, Dave, there's
Yeah, the first piece. Well, that's an interesting little drop leaf table, and the reason I'm showing that is this collection of photographs we're going to see doesn't really show too much Shaker influence stuff. And this is not a Shaker piece, but it does kind of reflect the sensibilities of a simple, straightforward line with a cantilevered top, turned elements, and highly figured maple. And so it was a lot of fun. And you just have the influence of subtle details, like down the base you can see some shadow lines. And sometimes all it takes is a keenly, an importantly placed shadow line to make a big difference.
Was that wasn't the fine woodworking article table?
Oh, it was
That was
very
different.
similar to
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
That one was a full round top.
Right.
But this one actually has a sliding leg mechanism that comes out, so
Yeah.
it's contained within the base and it slides out.
Nice.
Yeah. And so this is more reflective of traditional work. My original apprenticeship. This is for a lady I've done an awful lot of work for, and she's been very supportive of me commissioning many pieces to help me explore and stretch my design and my technique and all. And this involved another Canterburyan, Chance Anderson.
I remember when you made this,
Who did the stonework, not just that top with that carved molded edge, but also that inset bead that goes around, so only like 3/16 of an inch in it. It protrudes out, goes around the whole table. It's a break front table.
Yeah. So you ran a groove, and then you had to shape and polish a bead.
And join
And piece it in there.
stone
of
beads.
stone.
Yeah.
But it's so striking when you see this piece up close.
That combined, the contrast with the green stone and the cherry is really.
Yeah. And then
really
the more
nice.
traditional acanthus leaf type.
Yeah, and
going down the
acanthus
knee.
type of carving on the knee. And it had claw and ball feet too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But definitely going your own way with that stone bead, right?
Yeah, well, that's
I never saw that.
Yeah, no, that's how you can stay within the format or within the design structure without breaking any rules, but you can still explore.
Yeah.
When I say breaking rules, I mean breaking rules within the traditional sense of that kind of design.
Yeah.
And this is for the same customer. You recognize this mahogany.
I do. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Tom and I bought a half a tree or a whole mahogany tree.
Half a tree, yeah.
And it's got some fabulous figure in it. And this is a piece, I don't know how well people can see the base structure, but down there are morning glory vines going up the posts. And I can get a little glimpse of that.
So where did you get the model for that? Did you have those in your yard?
I did. And I meant to bring my little clay models.
Oh, that's okay.
Forgot it.
No, I think this is good.
But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. So there are blue flag, which is a native iris that grows in the wetlands around here. So between that and bindweed or morning glories, I can go outside my yard, sketch these things out, then transform it and model it in clay so I know what it's going to look like, what I'm trying to get from my head to my hands, and then approach it on, I turn my legs, and while it's on the lathe, I transfer the design and carve it right on the lathe.
That's sweet.
So what do we have next?
We're advancing. There it is.
Okay, there's another. This was kind of an interesting piece. Again, it's very traditional, and this was for an older client that I've had. And this was one of the pieces that I utilized birch. It's a very traditional Northeast United States, New England highlight. In the 18th century, there was a lot of work done with satinwood. And it was very expensive to import. So the clever people around here found that the crotch material in birch trees had very similar highly figured material, and it grows right out back.
Yeah.
And actually what you see is stuff I harvested right out back by looking for the tree with the right kind of forked figure up in the trunk, and I process it myself. Again, this is the same Cuban mahogany that we've been using, and also interesting is the bottom of the apron's got a bead that's applied. It's brass, solid brass. It's set in, and again, you have to bend it and wrap it around the legs, and this is a half round.
Wow.
It actually was done with full round rod and set into a V-shaped thing, and it's screwed and plugged, and you put it in with a flathead screw. You drill the hole, countersink it, put the screw in, and then you file the head
off.
Mostly off, so it all disappears.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And you just wrap around the whole thing. So you're
Nice.
playing with torches and all sorts of stuff.
Secondary wood on that interior.
On the inside, probably tulip poplar.
We use a lot of poplar around these parts.
We do.
It's poplar.
And the surprise was this. So this was a collaborative piece I did with an artist named Jim Aponovich. He's a New Hampshire artist, and the client had roots in New Hampshire, going to prep school here. They had a summer place up on Lake Sunapee, and we combined our efforts to do something reflective of the client's interests. So the painting is of Mount Sunapee in a very imaginative way, with painted daylilies and morning glories, and you see how the fabric in the painting reflects virtually the same color as the birch. All these things were done on purpose. I have daylilies carved in the legs, which is really kind of neat because these kind of sideboards typically would be fluted or reeded legs. So instead of doing that, I thought, well, what are reeds developed from in an architectural sense? They were from the very early Iranian people in the swamps would build structures out of reeds they gathered. They'd bundle them up, and that's where that whole thing came from. And so what I did was I utilized that idea with daylily stems, so that it starts as reeding and fluting at the bottom, and then they just kind of transform with leaves and flowers and so forth.
That's awesome.
There's a lot to say about each one, but
I know.
we'll move right along, hopefully. All right, so here is a detail of a lot of fractal work I do with birch. This is birch crotch, and they're, I don't know, 50 or 75 pieces of wood. It's separate individual pieces. They're all cut and fit one at a time. No two pieces are the same. But the idea, talk about influence, this is where, growing up at Shaker Village in very old houses, where you have single pane glass windows and you have real cold winter days, you get these tremendous frost patterns on the glass. Mm-hmm. And this was a way to try to capture that look of that very feathery, frosted look from that ice crystals create. So instead of freezing up water, we're using wood.
Yeah. How thick are those veneers?
And they start off a heavy 16th when I saw them.
Yeah.
And by the time they're sanded and scraped, they're standard
Yeah.
1/40th or whatever it is, 1/32nd.
Yeah.
Probably 1/32nd.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so here is one of the first ways I utilize that fractal work in a demi-lune. And then sometimes I dye it black, and I call it black ice. So if you're familiar with ponds and puddles and so forth, in the winter they just reflect this beautiful, deep, dark patterning. And it was the first time Tom helped me do that. We sprayed it with a dye, and the thought of taking black ink, basically, on this beautiful golden wood was a real challenging thing, kind of like heart in your mouth kind of thing. But it was very effective.
There was a lot of stress. I mean, he'd come over and I would have the spray gun with black, and I'm looking at this gorgeous, birch, all nice light blonde colored birch, all wildly figured, and just start spraying. I'm like, say when, Dave, say when.
Yeah, when you stop.
I couldn't take responsibility, but yeah.
But we talked back
It
and
worked
forth
out.
through the
Yeah,
process.
we did.
It was fun. And here's a full cabinet.
Yeah, this was my favorite to spray, and
Yeah.
it was interior too.
Yeah. So,
Oh, you didn't show the interior of that?
No.
I was telling the
I
guys.
had so many pictures.
I was telling them at dinner about the carving you did of that's the one with the
Right. So it was called the
Acacia.
It was Acacia. Right. It was all based on Acacia up in Maine, and the interior is not black. It's birch undyed, and the main central panel is actually a door, and it was carved with the classic to look like those stone arched bridges.
Yeah.
And it had native plants carved in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Question, guys.
Yes.
On the table, the fractal table, are
Oh,
those
yes,
mahogany
good.
strips between the veneer?
On the fractal table, are those mahogany strips between
yes.
the veneer?
Yeah, the birch. Yeah, yes.
That
yes.
one, yeah.
Mahogany strips. And this kind of shows the demi-lune I've been working on for over 20 years, 25 years of reiterations, and this is kind of like the full-blown version with shaped apron. It's concave and it curves two different ways. Boy, it just goes on and on. Yeah, so you can get a better idea of the front. And the intersection of the leg to the apron, it gets very complex, and it kind of creates a Gothic arch theme that, oh, look at this, a Gothic arch theme.
Yeah.
You know, that is a common thing in my work. And that framework you saw, that bracing down below, that again is a reflection of that Gothic arch theme, and all the veneering on the apron is just one arch after another.
That's pretty tedious work.
It's a very involved piece. If I made 4 of those a year, I'd really be pushing.
You get a little help, I heard, from...
Yeah, my wife, Janet, she helps a little bit. She helps a lot.
I know.
Janet you've seen a number of things. That sideboard on the front edge of the top had all these little things, all these little shields. She cut and fit every single one going across, and one after another. It's beautiful. And this just shows a detail of a chest of drawers, again with the birch and the mahogany, and these were triangular shaped drawers in a bureau. And so, of course, instead of sliding out because of their shape, they have to pivot. And that was a real kind of a engineering, mathematical kind of challenge. And this is another detail of the same piece. Oval mirror, a lot of carving, laminated drawer fronts.
Yeah, and again, that beautiful contrast between the birch and the mahogany. So nice.
Yeah. So here's a settee, and I'm actually working on a 3rd iteration of this. This is birch, and I did one very similar to it in cherry that was all carved. This is all inlaid and veneered, rather. And it just, if I had both pictures, sorry everybody, but I have the one.
Okay.
And it's amazing how much the feel of a piece changes when you, even though the patterns, everything is the same between these two. This has that clean veneer work, and the wood is doing the talking, and the other one had carved foliage with flowers, and it was beautiful on the back and the arms, but it just read very differently, also being cherry and darker. But this current one that I'm going to be starting, instead of those Gothic arch panels, will have caning on the backs and the ends under the arms. And someone mentioned one of these the other day. I can't remember the term, but this is a nice little sofa. You could call it a settee too. It's kind of small, but it was so much fun to do. We have our friend Joe Portinari.
Oh yeah.
Did the upholstery on this, and he's 82 now, and he loves these kind of projects. It's great. And that's the back side.
That's awesome.
Kind of looks like a race car. I don't know.
Sleigh bed.
Sleigh bed. And there's a little carved detail of the top of a chest of drawers. That's at the Currier Museum, and I think the chest is next.
That was sort of a finial, or
That's
almost
like a finial, yeah. So like in the high boys of old, where they had the cartouche up on the top, that was, or a finial. That was my answer to that. It's a cluster of maple leaves, and so the whole exterior of this is done in that fractal veneered process, where we had to gather crotches from about 9 trees.
Wow.
And cut them and process them and dry them and you know, make all the laminating forms to do all the bow front work, carving up on the frieze up on the top, and again Janet's inlay work and that top crown concave molding going all the way across.
And that you can see, I think you just mentioned it, in the Currier Museum of Art.
Right, that's
Right.
out now.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Cool.
We did get through them. That's so good. Well, see, if you take a class like this, what
Yes.
you can do with only 50 years.
5 days, yeah, and 50
And
years.
like a lot of stress and commissions and all that. But it's been so good to have you here, Dave.
Yeah, thanks,
and,
Tom. It's been great.
Yeah, we've been friends a long time, and on the golf course, now not so much, but in the shop, we just got tired of that. But we are looking forward to doing more things like this. We hope to do a little visit at David's shop to see actually the inner workings of that space and the history there. It's really going to be a lot of fun. And take you around other places as time goes on. But thanks so much, Dave, for being
My
our
pleasure,
special
Tom.
guest. That
My
was
pleasure.
unbelievable. And on behalf of the live studio audience, and of course, the marvelous camera lady, I'm Tom McLaughlin. Wow. And we look forward to seeing you next time, right back here on Shop Night Live. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Wow, that was good.